We're always kind of developing, like I said, like with the show and like the mythology of the show. So we learn new things about it every time. As far as I'm aware of, there's no way for me to, like, you know, you have like a blood brother and sister, or you have a half, or they're adopted, or something like that. I think there's no way for him to actually be a actual part of Scott's pack. But I think in like an adopted way kind of thing, I think that is the pack that he would say he belongs to. But I think like officially Derek's still kind of like an Omega. It's still like a lone wolf. But I think that's just a pack that he chooses to side with. So I do think him being around Scott, maybe in like the way that we talk about your betas make you stronger as an alpha. I'm not so sure that Derek being, he's actually technically Scott's beta. But I do think his guidance and his, mentorship to Scott makes Scott a stronger alpha.
And so I'm going to tag on to the back of that question real quick. How much writing have you done for the show? They allowed you to do anything writing-wise for the show? And would you like to?
No.
No, wait. No, they haven't let you, or no, you wouldn't want to?
No, they haven't let us. No, I think we try to take as much liberty and freedom as they give us with the scenes, and if we have points to make or things that we, as the characters consider that maybe they didn't think about right off the bat, we have a discussion about it. But ultimately, yeah, it's always in their hands. They know the whole season, and we're kind of just along for the ride. So we find out kind of the same way you guys do. We go like episode by episode, so we're always getting surprises every episode.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Okay, and you were gonna ask something. Stand.
Hi, I'm Amber. I had a question. Like, how hard was it for you and Dylan to be in the pool together? How hard was it for Dylan to hold you up? Like, for however many hours?
So technically, how was it done too? Is maybe part of the question.
Very pruny by the end of it.
Raisin fingers. Yeah.
That was I think that was like I want to say it was like close to like 7-8 hours in the pool. Which was a long time, especially like when you're fully clothed and you're pretending to be paralyzed and things like that. I felt so bad for Dylan that day. Because for the second season, I thought, Derek becoming the alpha, I thought it would have been really kind of irresponsible and stupid of me to not pay attention to the fact that he should have physically gotten stronger as well. So I did a lot of training with a guy in Atlanta, put on quite a bit of weight, got a little bit heavier. I think at one point I put on probably like maybe 15 pounds heavier than I was in season 1. And Dylan had to carry me, soaking wet in clothes, and I couldn't help him at all. So I remember we did the first shot, and it was a crane shot, like above the pool, so you can see everything. So if I was like swimming with him, like you would have seen my legs going, and it would have looked stupid. So Sam, our director, goes like, "Okay, so Dylan, so just put your arm around Tyler, and then just swim to the other side." And Dylan just like looked at me. He's like, "Excuse me? In what world?" No. So we did the first one, and we're both constantly going underwater. Like I'm trying not to kick, so like my head goes under, and I'm just gonna stay here until he gets me back up. But then I kind of like look like with my eye open under the water, and I see his head was underwater too. And I was like, okay, he's not coming back up. so we just like stopped on the first one. And we tried doing it again, and it was we finally got it to where we actually made it to the edge of the pool. And they're like, okay, so we're just going to do one more. You guys go reset. And Dylan's like, no. It's not going to happen.
One more for camera. No, that was it.
Yeah, it was a long day. But it was, it's one of those days that when you're there and you're in the 7 to 8 hour of it, you're like, oh my God, I want to go home and go to sleep. But at the end, it was such, looking back on it, it was such a fun day. We had a good time.
What is one of your along those lines, what is one of your more memorable scenes that you've done in all of this? Because you've had incredible stunts, and you've had incredible romance, and you've had all this craziness happen to you. What is one of the most, be it a poignant one or an action one, or what's one of the most memorable, important ones that you'll take with you when you're 85 years old and say, that scene from Teen Wolf?
There's a couple this season. You guys haven't seen yet.
Ooh, so watch out for that, okay?
Yeah.
Big stuff, okay. Good.
Some really cool scenes with Scott this season. And I would say, all the old, back in the day, Derek style scenes are always so much fun. We always had a good time with those. I think I'm probably going to hold on to this, until until the end unless something else comes up. But I think the scene with JR when Derek is possessed by the Nigitsune, that was as an actor, that was my favorite scene, because it was the one time that Derek just kind of had no rules and you could really just do whatever you wanted, and it was really, really fun to play. Kind of like playing the bad guy. It's fun. You can do whatever you want.
Okay, and so we have a question. Yes, ma'am. All right, stand up. Here you go. I'm hurrying. Okay.
Hi. Sorry, I won't touch the mic.
Atta girl.
I was wondering, what do you think the dynamic between the Hale pack and Scott's pack would have been if Boyd, Isaac, Erica, Jackson were still around, and if Derek was still an alpha?
That's a really big question. And I'm going to preface it first by saying, would you ever write a fanfic? Would you ever write? That's a reasonable question. Would you ever write an extra? Okay, not your thing. Okay. Sorry. So roughly, what's the answer?
I would say that's a really good question. I've actually never really thought about that. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that they would be in Beacon Hills still. I think if Derek was still an alpha, I mean, is that like assuming that like the alpha pack never came into play and everything, or like had we all made it through the alpha pack?
I would say they probably before they ever came into play, if it was just the two
before the
packs.
alpha pack. Okay. I would say there might have been like a little bit of a rift between them, because I think at that point, that really. The end of season 2 was very humbling for Derek, but I think dealing with the alpha pack was really kind of like hitting rock bottom and realizing kind of what he needed to change and who he really needed to be. So I think had they made it through second season and come out on the other side okay, I think there might have been a little bit of a conflict, and I think it would have either been them learning how to give each other their own territory and their own space, and just kind of stay to themselves, or I think maybe it seemed like with Boyd and Erica and Isaac, they all kind of had nothing to lose, which is why Derek kind of selected them in the first place. I think maybe they would have just up and left town. I think Beacon Hills might have been a place that they just said like, this isn't for us, and we don't want to have to deal with the Argents. We don't want to deal with the back.
And in fact, yesterday, didn't Boyd say, who was here yesterday? Boyd said that he and Erica ran off and had little babies someplace. And that was his answer yesterday. Okay, stand up.
Hi,
What's your name? Don't you want to be able to say, I talked to Tyler Hecklin and I told him my name and he said, Rebecca, right? Don't you want to say
Rebecca with a K, right?
No.
No. Who was a K? There it is. I knew there was one.
It's cool. You can remember her. That's fine.
No. Whoa.
That's harsh. Your question's gone.
Touche.
I got your back here. Watch it.
Touche, but what?
So technically, would I be in his back if I... Oh.
Yeah, you would have.
Oh.
You would have.
Oh. What's your question, Rebecca?
One of the things I really enjoyed about this last season was the progression of the relationship between Chris and Derek. I was wondering how you felt about that as an actor, and how Derek felt about it as well, and if we were going to see any more of that in season 4.
As an actor, it was miserable because Jay and R don't get along at all. JR is like one of my best friends.
Posey already said that. You'll have to say something else.
We spent a lot of time together off set, so I think going into that season and kind of knowing that relationship was going to develop, I think both of us were really excited about seeing where that went. And also because him and I had always really talked about the characters in a way that I don't think people either looked at it or that maybe even like the writers hadn't discussed yet, which was that I've always seen like a very, very deep mutual admiration and respect for each other. I think Arjun acknowledges that Derek is not really a problem. I think he knows that it's the result of what his sister did, and that's why half the things that are happening with him have happened. And I think Derek recognizes that Arjun is always very much by the rule book, doesn't do anything that he's not supposed to, and he's there to keep him in check. And so I think that's always kind of been this thing of like, I understand your role and I understand what you're supposed to do, and if I do this, then your reaction is this. So I really, as actors, we enjoyed working together just because we always had a good time. But as the characters, I think it's been a nice development because it's something that they could finally build on. It was almost like this unspoken thing of, if the circumstances were different, we would be on the same team, and we kind of are on the same page. So
and haven't you sort of recreated that rule book? Now that things have changed so much over these last 3 years, isn't there kind of an all new, like the code for the Argents is no longer the code. It's now it's different. Now werewolves are part of the hunters, and now it's good versus evil, and not just werewolves versus hunters.
Yeah, because it's people choosing sides not based on necessarily who they are, but what they believe in, which I think really is kind of like how things should be anyway. So
there you go.
It's a cool development for the show, and it's been a fun relationship. And there's a little bit more of it this season as well, and I hope you guys enjoy that stuff.
Would you guys enjoy that this season? You think you'll enjoy this season?